All right, so moving on to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from Hunter Johnson, who asked me to do a cartoon version of Secret Empire. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the 3rd tier. That'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope y'all enjoy this, and let's get started. So, and I'm going to admit that, there were some things that, when he did the initial pitch to me for the story, I was like, none of this works. I'm going to have to, do some reworking. Which, yeah, if I was going to do this, I had to, man, a lot of this is not really hitting. So I had to, do some alterations to make this work. So let's get started. So basically what it starts out with is that, what essentially happens is that G.I. Joe, their home base suddenly finds themselves in the middle of a crisis, because out of nowhere their base gets completely compromised. All of their soldiers, all of the soldiers' private information, all of that is just exposed, and all the location of all the Joes that are doing covert ops missions are just being shown across the board. And they're like, what the fuck? And they trace the source from inside the building, and it's Duke. Duke is literally, exposing everyone's identity. And they're like, what the fuck? Scarlet's like, what the fuck are you doing? And Duke just goes, "Hail Cobra," and just starts opening fire on them. So out of that, Cobra then begins this massive blitzkrieg of all the Joes and all of that. It's almost like an Order 66 thing. It's not just them. They're being assisted by the Decepticons in the ensuing crisis. On top of that, you also have other villains who are working with them, and it's basically Cobra in a blitzkrieg takes over the government and just proclaims that the U.S. is now a sovereign nation of Cobra, and everything belongs to us now. If you want to fight us, go right a fucking ahead. But now we have access to to all the nuclear launch codes, everything. So, this world is, this one nation under Cobra now. So therein lies the problem. And it's not just them. During the attack, with the Decepticons backing them, goddamn chair, with the Decepticons backing them, it's essentially just kind of a, it's just bad. The Decepticons also did a blitzkrieg on the Autobot base. A lot of the Autobots were either captured, and even Optimus was captured. And the few Autobots that make it out just kind of separate and go into hiding. And on top of that, you also have several heroes who are now being hunted down, and all the heroes have to go into hiding. But the thing is that Duke then goes on camera and goes my name is Conrad Duke Hauser, and I have been working with Cobra this whole time. And he basically just sends out all this, spews all this stuff and says I've been working for Cobra the better part of my entire life, because Cobra is actually doing the right thing. We're here to protect you from a government that has been nothing but tyrannical to you. Cobra will not lie to you, and we will succeed in fighting for a better world. So yeah, it gets pretty bad, because there are some heroes who are almost convinced that Duke is in the right, but they're oh yeah, no, this is clearly some Cobra shit going down. So the heroes that go into hiding, the heroes that go into hiding, they have to keep a net, secret net set up by Jeremy from Code Lyoko, who's working outside. All the heroes outside of America are now walled off. There's now Cobra and the Decepticons set up with a little help from Black Hat and his villains. They basically set up a massive border of anti-aircraft or any kind of detection. You cannot get in, you can't get out. So the first thing is the Joes that weren't captured or killed during the initial blitzkrieg are trying to stay in touch and keep in contact with each other, and they're just trying to figure out how the fuck did this happen? How in the great good fuck did this even does this even happen? Like Conrad, like Duke would never do this. Like Duke would never willingly do this. And they're like, yeah, he wouldn't. So obviously this is like mind control. Like something like Cobra did something to Duke. Whether it be like Dr. Mindbender or something like that, or this could be like a clone of Duke. But they're like, yeah, we need to figure that out. Well, at the same time, there's still like villains now being recruited by the new Cobra government to hunt down heroes for big paydays, or to be part of the new Cobra government. So villains are essentially like going out and hunting down heroes that are still like in the being kept in the shadows. And the heroes that are captured and found are tossed into the Ghost Zone. There's now a Ghost Zone prison that is holding the heroes, and they're being experimented on. Like the heroes that do have abilities, like Jenny gets captured and she's being like picked apart so they could make Cobra can make better bat soldiers. So meanwhile, Scarlet and the other the Renegade Joes, they discover that Cobra did in fact alter Duke's mind. Like they did manage to capture him while he was on a solo mission, and reprogrammed him in order to serve them. But how they did it was a little help from what were they called? The people from the people who used to Carmen Sandiego used to work for Vile. Yeah. It turns out that Cobra worked with Vile because Vile had a machine that they actually used on Carmen to like reprogram her memories. So they basically captured Duke, and with Vile's help, they reprogrammed his mind. So they actually get in contact with Carmen, who was in Greece, and she sneaks back into the U.S. in order to help steal the machine to like helpfully like reprogram Duke, who's now going by a new title. Like he gets in a new like Cobra suit, and he's called he's now going by a new title called Commander Cobra, as opposed to Cobra Commander. And even Destro's like, that is a fucking dumb name. But yeah, so Duke now in like Cobra gear is leading the charge of hunting down other Joes and heroes. But they essentially like they throw out bait in order to get Cobra. And what bait do they use? They use Steven. Like they use Steven and the Crystal Gems as like open bait to get get Duke out in the open. They capture him, and with a little help from Dr. Wakeman and Professor Utonium, who build a variant of what Vile had, the machine Vile had, and reprogram Duke's mind. And through it, Duke is like, holy shit, how the fuck did they do this to me? So now he's back, but now they have to like retake Cobra, take back the government from Cobra. So now they Duke now back with the team. The first thing they split off, they basically make two groups. One to fight Cobra directly at the White House, the other to break out the heroes in the Ghost Zone. So that's what happens. So the heroes that were locked up, like Danny, Kim, all of them that were locked up in the Ghost Zone, that mission is led by Prowl and Scarlet, where Duke himself leads the attack on the White House. So through it, the heroes they're already failing. Like the heroes in the White House, they're like losing that battle horribly because it's only a good small number of them. And even Cobra Commander's like, I knew you were going to I'm a little disappointed in you, Duke. I was kind of hoping, because I knew you were going to come back. I knew it wasn't permanent. I knew they were going to find a way to, program you back to the way it was. I was just hoping it was a little longer. I was enjoying having you as my little pet. And it's kind of dumb. It's kind of dumb that you just try to attack me right out the gate. And Duke is like, no, this was more of a distraction. And sure enough, portal opens up. all the heroes start spilling out and start taking, fighting off Cobra, and leading them is, of course, Optimus Prime, who immediately, the first thing he does is just deck Megatron. And all the heroes, like, fight back. They take back, they take back the U.S. government, and Cobra is basically, like, they get broken from this. Cobra Commander gets captured in the ensuing chaos and gets locked up in the same prison he had in the Ghost Zone. So now Cobra is essentially leaderless, and now they're all going to be fighting each other for it. And meanwhile, the rest of the U.S. people are, like, turned against Duke, who's, like, still reeling from what Cobra did to him, even though it wasn't through his own actions. It's still like, yeah, I gotta, work with that and keep going. So there you go, guys. That's Secret Empire. I want to thank Hunter Johnson for this Patreon request, as well as continued patronage. And you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.